course. Well, I'm Kristen Houchin. I'm the current Mrs. Ohio America. And yeah, we're going to Mrs. America here in just a few weeks. And hopefully we can make Ohio proud between me and our Miss and then our Mrs. American contestant.
How many kids have you?
3.
3 boys, 3 girls, or a mix?
Oh, I have a mix. So I have 2 girls, a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and then a boy, and he's 3. And I will say, had the boy been first, he might have been last. He's very different, a little more rambunctious than the girls.
And in few years now, you have your girl want to compete in pageantry, maybe?
Oh yeah, my oldest one, she's not as much into it, but my middle one, she's ready to do a pageant. So I did tell her next year she could go ahead and do it, and I hope she really likes it. I think people learn a lot when they do a pageant, whether they're a male or a female, and you gain so much confidence. There's such a confidence that you can walk around knowing that you've been judged by people after you put everything out in front of them. And if you can do that and still be confident, then you're going to make it pretty far in life. And that's my opinion.
What are you most proud of your family?
I just love how we can always come together. This is something that we came together to do. It wasn't anything that, I had a lot of specific expectations for, but the fact that they've rallied around me has just shown me, you know what, I would do that for them, and they're doing the exact same thing for me. And it's really makes me proud to know that we can come together like that to do something like this Mrs. America adventure.
Your children are proud for your title of Mrs. Ohio America.
Oh yeah, my middle daughter, she's a little sassy, I will say. She before I was even Mrs. Ohio, she was telling everyone, "My mom's Mrs. Ohio." And I said, "You can't tell people that. It's not true." She's like, "Well, they can't read. They don't even know if the pageant's happened yet." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you can't tell people that."
Your family come to Las Vegas to support you during the national?
My husband's coming. We're leaving the kids at home. I just didn't know if Vegas could handle the 3 of them, honestly. So they're gonna stay home with family, but my husband's coming, my friends are coming, and then a lot of my extended family are coming to cheer me on.
Yes, it's important to have some support in the audience. It's very different pageant when we have family in the audience.
Oh yeah, I don't know how they did it last year with that limited audience, because there is a different kind of energy that comes when people are cheering you on when you're on that stage. And the fact that we can at least maybe not have as limited seating this year is super encouraging. Oh, it's got to be mom. This is fun, getting to do something like this. And I already worked with the community, and now I just get to do it in a sparkly hat. So this is the fun part about it. Being a mom, you're always sitting there thinking, am I doing the right thing? You're second guessing all of your decisions. And it's like, oh my gosh, was I a good enough mom today? And every day you just start over the same cycle, wondering the same things.
And are you a superwoman? Because to be a beauty queen is a full job. It's full-time job. Mother is a full-time job too. And you must work, you must to be a mother, you must to be a beauty queen. Are you a superwoman?
You know what? Yes, I'm a superwoman. We'll just say yeah, because I don't know how it gets done, but it somehow does. I would not be able to get all of this done if I couldn't take my family to go do a lot of these things. So so if we're volunteering for, let's say, Hands to Hope, which is a local organization here, everybody comes along and they know that they are to be on their best behavior. We are there to help people. And so that is the biggest help, honestly. So no, I'm probably not a superwoman as much as I'd like to think I am, but my family makes it super easy.
I have interviewed a lot of Mrs. World because we have a special issue of Mrs. World pageant this year for Inside Pageant for the magazine. And all beauty queen, all former Mrs. World say me, becoming Mrs. America is a full-time job. Your husband is okay with a new full-time job if you win Mrs. America crown?
Oh, absolutely. He might be more excited than I would be, honestly. He would just be really proud. And it's one of those things where you make time for the things that are important to you. And if you're Mrs. America, it's the most important thing for 1 year. You have 1 year and then, you know, you can go back to normal life. So when you have something like that on your plate, you make time for it.
In 1 year, if we win only Mrs. America, because with the title of Mrs. America, we go to compete at Mrs. World, and you can win another title and another crown. It's 1 year more of pride. Is it your husband? Is it okay?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think it would be one of those things where if there was a next step, he'd be like, 1 more year, let's go, we got this.
Not all at the same time, step by step.
Yeah, it's much more easily digestible when you think of it like that.
Yes, I think it's a good behavior with your husband. Yes.
Yes, exactly. Well, I love that we're all different. Everyone there is different. If you've had kids, I look a lot different than I looked like before I had kids, that's for sure. And everything I love about that is that God made me exactly this way. I was meant to look this way. And I feel like that confidence really radiates out when somebody has the faith knowing that this is what you're supposed to look like and you can be confident in that. And when you feel that, that beauty just shines straight through them. This is my first title. I wish I competed when I was younger. Thinking back, I was like, oh my goodness, that would have been so fun. But this is my first title, so I really don't have a lot to compare it to. All I know is what it's like to be a Mrs. Ohio. And hopefully one day I'll know what it's like to be a Mrs. America and a Mrs. World.
And are you excited by this trip in Las Vegas, by this national final? Because it's your first national.
I am beyond excited. I cannot wait to go. I like meeting new people anyways, but the fact that I get to meet, you know, the title holder from every single state, I am like beside myself excited. And from what I've heard, at least, I obviously won't know until I get there, every day is a fashion show. And so I cannot wait for that. We have an amazing dress sponsor, Henry's, who provides most of our wardrobe for the week. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I cannot wait to wear all these great Henry's pieces and all these couture pieces. And it's our own fashion show for the whole week. Well, Mrs. Pennsylvania, I just found out is my roommate. Otherwise, you know, I guess I would say maybe if I could have my other Mrs. Ohio, just because we're such good friends already. But Mrs. Pennsylvania is going to be my roommate, and I've already talked to her. She is a professional stylist. So I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to have you like look at all my wardrobe. So we're going to be good friends. I can already tell. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So we're going to get to experience it all together.
Yes. What does pageantry means for you?
I heard this quote once, and my whole pageant journey, even though it's been short, I've really felt like it's been true. It's pageantry is not for the weak, but it'll make you stronger. And I've never felt so strong within myself and my story than I have. And it's because of pageantry, because I've had to really learn what is it that makes me tick and what is it that's made me the woman that I am today. And then being able to express it and talk about it is a whole nother level of strength. And if I had never done Mrs. Ohio, I would have never figured that out about myself. And it's the absolute best part of pageantry. So everything, I never have been in a sorority myself, but from what I've heard about sororities, it seems like it would be that you come together as a sisterhood, that you come together and you make this lifelong connection. Because I know people who have been in sororities and they're like, they're in my wedding, you know, they came to my baby showers, and it feels very similar, especially the Ohio sisterhood. You know, I can't really compare it to the other states, but the Ohio sisterhood is so strong. We're so supportive of one another. Like, for instance, Shaylin Ford, my Mrs. Ohio American contestant, her shoe shattered in the middle of our rehearsal. And she's like, what am I going to do? And I'm like, well, girl, if you have big feet like me, just take a pair of my extra shoes. And not a single one of them would have done anything different. We're all so close. And I love that I can still be close to the women that I met during that whole process.
You have the chance to have a sisterhood in your state, because I have the interview some candidate for Miss World, not Mrs. but for Miss World, Miss World too, and some candidate have feel so alone because she is a winner in the country, and she have no help in the country, no help of another contestant. And I think you have the chance to have a sisterhood, a strong sisterhood in Ohio.
Yes. That mothers have nothing to do with pageantry?
No, in this article, journalists say, I don't understand why some organization organize a pageant for married women, for mother. For this journalist, spoon or mother have nothing to do in the pageantry, have nothing to do on the stage of pageantry.
Oh, I see. So married women and mothers don't understand pageantry, and why would you set up a pageant for married women?
And do you think it's a right? No, it's not. We have, I think you have the voices to do something in the pageantry. You have your places in pageantry, no?
Oh, of course. And as married women and as mothers, you learn so, I know, I've learned so much from when I would have been eligible to compete as a Miss contestant to what I know now. And there's so much wisdom locked up in all these women that have gone through marriages and gone through having children and raising families, and wisdom that shouldn't be shut out just because we're married. We need to be able to share that with our communities, and there's absolutely a place for us in pageantry, especially when pageantry gives us such an elevated point where we can speak to the communities.
What do
So
you
I competed last year for Mrs. Ohio America, and to be honest, I didn't know what a Mrs. pageant was. I didn't even know they existed. And it was funny, I was scrolling on social media doing that blind Instagram scroll, and I saw Christy Miller Nunn, the Mrs. Ohio America from the year before. I saw her crowning photo, and I'm like, what the heck is Mrs. Ohio? And so I got into this deep dive of it, and I have never been so happy for someone I didn't know. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to look into this. I competed. And when I competed, you know, I just kind of went through the motions. I didn't do the deep dive within myself. I didn't really want to talk about my story specifically. I was still a little nervous to do that. And I went in, I didn't place, I didn't win an award, nothing. And I came back the next year and I said, you know what? No, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it the right way. And I came in truly myself. And it was such a blessing not winning the year before and trying again and coming out on top. And I just really hope that the women who have come and competed before and had that experience where maybe they didn't place or win, to know that that doesn't matter. All you have to do is focus on getting a little bit better every single day, and you can come back and you can take the crown. You can go have the Mrs. America experience. So my platform's the Dolly Effect. I'm a huge Dolly Parton fan, and I love everything about that. She was never supposed to be anything more than a country music singer. And my whole platform is just empowering women to be everything that they were never supposed to be. So Dolly Parton was never supposed to bring $1 billion to the economy of East Tennessee. She was never supposed to give out $1 million through the Imagination Library, but she did. And women need to understand that there is nothing that can hold you back except for yourself. And once women realize that, then the world's going to be such a better place, because it's going to be full of these strong, confident women that know that they can do more than they were supposed to do.
Dolly Parton is your model?
Yeah, I like to say she's my adopted fairy godmother, even though she has no idea. But if I ever meet her, I will tell her all about it, and then she'll probably walk away thinking I'm a crazy person, but I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with it.
Do you sing too?
I don't sing, but I love musicals. I love going to musicals, and I'm a huge thespian, I guess you could say. I wish I could sing, because if I could, I would be in all the musicals.
And what is your favorite musical?
So nobody believes me when I say this, because most people haven't seen this one, but the Legally Blonde musical was one of the best musicals I had ever seen. It was so beautiful. The wardrobe was amazing. The script was great. And I always feel so silly saying it because it's such a silly musical, but it was one of the more well done modern musicals that I've ever seen.
I have seen only 2 musicals in my life, because
Which one?
yes, in France it's not the culture. We have no the culture of musical. I have seen Cats and
Okay.
Romeo and Juliet, a French musical
Well,
only.
those are I feel like that's very classic, and those would be good ones to have seen.
I hope to go to New York this year and watch and see a new musical, but I have no idea which musical I must see.
If you're in New York, there won't be a single one you're going to see that's bad. I promise that. I think it's just the unexpected. People can tell me what's going to happen. People can give me tips, and I can work with people for them to say like, oh, you can expect this or that, but until you're there, you of course aren't going to know. But that's what I'm so excited about too, is just experiencing the beauty of all of this for myself. And I just can't wait. I cannot wait to be there with all the women from all over the state, and being able to even have the opportunity. So my background is I have a history with domestic violence. So for me, being able to escape that situation, I was never supposed to be Mrs. Ohio, that's for sure. Because statistically speaking, domestic violence survivors don't go on to be Mrs. Ohio, and they certainly do not interview for the job of Mrs. America. So the fact that I even get to do that, I'm just absolutely on top of the world, and I feel like I'm here for a reason, and I cannot wait to be able to speak to the judges about all of that.
No fear to fall on the stage because you have a height still.
Nope, I don't have any fear of that. I like to say that I'm fearless, because I feel like I've conquered my greatest fear. My greatest fear for the longest time was men. I was so afraid to work with men until I got my job in the STEM field. And they told me, they're like, you're going to be the only woman in the whole world doing this job. Are you okay with that? And I had to really think about it, because I was like, I don't know if I can work with 50 men. That's really intimidating. But I said, you know what? Nope, I will not let this fear guide my life. And so I went in shaking when I got off that elevator, but I did it and did it for 6 years. And because of that, I say, you know what? If I could do that, I don't need to be afraid of anything.
I can't work with a it's impossible for me.
Yeah. No, so the shoe started falling off the stage. You know what? If that happens, all I can do is handle that gracefully and be like, well, ta-da, I did it. I just want to, my main goal, if I were to be crowned Mrs. America, would to just bring hope to those that are in the midst of crisis. That's my main goal. I want to, especially after the last few years this country has been through, all I want is for people to have some sort of hope and love. And I don't care where it comes from, if it comes from me or if it's because I inspire someone to love someone unconditionally. That's really all I want. I want people to not be in a situation that I was in, where when I was in crisis, I didn't feel like I had a lot of hope. And so, whether it's an opioid addiction or they're in a domestic violence situation, for them to know that there is hope to get out of it and that there's love on the other side, that's all I want to do as Mrs. America, is to spread that message.
And for the moment, what is your best memory of your reign?
I got to be captain of the Reds, the Cincinnati Reds Major League Baseball team. I played softball for years and years, and I was very excited to have the opportunity to do that. So I got to go and be on the big screen, and my whole family got to go, and it was a whole ceremony in baseball, and it was just a really cool experience in general, and that was probably my favorite memory.
Imagine you win the crown of Mrs. America. You have the chance to win this crown. You go to compete at Mrs. World. It's the deal. The crown Mrs. America gives the opportunity to go to Mrs. World. Is it a dream to become a Mrs. World for you?
Oh, of course. If I, especially with everything that's going on in the world as a whole, if I could have the opportunity to not just have impact on my country, but have impact on the entire world with this message, and partnering with Victoria's Voice and talking to people about there are ways to get out of these situations, and having a bigger impact and being able to spread a wider net across the entire world, would be an absolute dream come true. And to be honest, thinking about that, it feels so far off, but it's one of those where it's like, you know what? It's so fun to think about. Because honestly, because I was never supposed to. The fact that I'm even here is such a miracle in itself. And I just really think that it shows people that it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what's happened to you. If you take that experience and you turn it into a positive, and you turn it into something that can really propel you forward in life, and you don't let it drag you down, then you can go on and be whatever it is that you want to be. And being as well, being Mrs. America would just show people that there is hope for them, no matter what their circumstances.
I have a hard question. For all candidates, it's a hard question. Who is your favorite Mrs. America?
Well, Brooklyn Rivera, because she's our current title holder, she is amazing because she's so down to earth. I love that she shares her family on social media, and she shares the good, the bad, the ugly, and she's so relatable. Nicole Cook would probably be a close second, just because every time I look at her, she just reminds me of a real life Barbie doll. That is like the most glamorous woman I have ever seen. And there's something that comes with that. That's just who she is. And Michaela Eppers is probably another one who's just, she's super glamorous, but somehow really down to earth. And I've had the opportunity to meet her before, and she's really funny. And the fact that she's all these things, it's like, I get it. I get why you were Mrs. America. The Ohio and the Midwest in general, no matter what, you come to Ohio and it feels like you're coming home. Everyone here is welcoming. Everyone here just wants you to come be a part of things. And everyone here is going to have an opinion on where to go to get the best chili to put on your spaghetti. And there's a big controversy with it, to be honest. So you'll have to, if you ever make it to Ohio, you have to ask a local, where's the best chili? And then just, if you're anywhere in the city, just say OH, and there's going to be someone out there that screams IO right back at you.
And which places I must visit if I come in Ohio?
It depends on which part of this, it's a pretty big state, so it depends on which part of the state you're in. We have some of the best amusement parks. down here locally where I live near Cincinnati, we have something called Crone Conservatory. It's been nicknamed the Garden of Eden. And there are every spring, they release thousands of free flying butterflies that you can just walk through and they land all over you. And it's something that you don't think about when you come to Ohio, but it is a once in a lifetime experience. Yeah, I love social media. It's the best way. I also work, I'm vice president of sales and marketing. So I love social media because it's a free way to market. You know, it's the best way to cast out a wide net across the entire nation and across the entire world. You're going to reach people that you're not going to necessarily reach when you're putting out an ad for something. And it's all because of social media. And so because of that, you can reach so many more people. Now, some people maybe don't like social media because it can add a few other aspects to certain things, but as long as it's used appropriately and responsibly, I love spreading messages through social media.
But social media have a dark side. We have some discrimination, some body shaming, we have haters, bad comments, and for some candidates, it's very difficult to leave this bad comment, hater. You, how do you protect against these haters?
I don't know if you can protect against the haters. When the Miss Universe competition was going on and the Miss USA competition was going on, you saw a lot of these women talking about this online bullying that they got. And it's like, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're, you know, the girl next door, or if you're Miss USA, you're going to have people that are going to say things about you, but you just always have to remember that that has more to do with them than it does with you. And what their opinion is on your photo or what you're doing does not have a direct reflection on who you are as a person. And it's really hard to not pay attention to it, but sometimes you don't have a choice, especially when you're thrust into a platform like a Mrs. America. And it's just got to be something that you take with a grain of salt and move on from it.
What do you prefer, Instagram or Facebook? Or TikTok?
I like
Maybe have you TikTok or
I
Snapchat?
like no, maybe not Snapchat. I'm not too old for Snapchat, but I know my kids like the Snapchat because you can do the filters with the faces. So we like to play with it, just us. But I love Instagram, and I like Instagram just because it's quick. It's turning into a video sharing platform where you can share videos. It's still a photo sharing platform, and it's just something that can happen really quickly where people can scroll through and you can get messages out much quicker on Instagram. My favorite movie is probably How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. And I only say that, and I love Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey. But the biggest thing is when I remember when I first watched that movie when I was younger, it was the first movie role that I had seen a woman where she was funny. And she wasn't just the random love interest. She really carried the comedic greatness of that movie right alongside the male lead. And it was just one of those moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, it's okay if I'm a little funny or goofy or quirky. So weirdly enough, that's probably the movie that had the biggest impact on me growing up.
And you, if you could star in a movie, who do you choose like a co-star?
Um, I'm gonna say Dolly Parton just because then I'm gonna be within, you know, touching distance of her. So I don't care what the movie is because she's never in anything bad. She's never in anything inappropriate. She's so pure of heart. I'm obviously putting her on a pedestal, but I would absolutely choose that woman for absolutely anything I could.
Are you a good chef?
I am very good at home style meals. So meatloaf or lasagna, I can do lasagna really well. Anything like that, I'm great with. Chili, cornbread, things like that. Now, if you were to ask me to fillet a fish or maybe do a fancy steak, I might struggle a little bit with that. But anything else home style, I'm good with.
Have you the time to cook?
Oh yeah, I make my kids and husband breakfast every morning. Otherwise, my husband wouldn't eat anything. And for whatever reason, I'm so concerned about his stomach. So I always make sure he's full. And the same with my kids. I'm like, you're going to be hungry. And they're always like, we're not always hungry, Mom.
I love your children.
There's
Which
something.
which item is wow, amazing in your purse?
Oh my goodness, my purse. You know what? I always go somewhere with mascara. I don't think you'll ever catch me without a mascara wand. As silly as that sounds, I have naturally blonde hair and my eyelashes are almost white. So no matter what, I have a mascara with me because if it starts to come off, you can't even see my eyes.
Which essential item do you put always in your purse and we can't leave your house without?
I travel fairly minimalistically, but I always have a mascara. And if I have on eyelashes, I always, no matter what, I will not leave without some eyelash glue because it never fails. It's the end of the night, and I got a rogue eyelash coming up the one side that has to be glued back down. And so it always has to do with my eyelashes. There's always an issue there.
Are you a desperate woman if you lose your phone?
Am I something about losing
If
my
you
phone?
lose your phone, are you a desperate woman?
Oh, I've lost my phone. That's not a weird thing for me at all, actually. At my Mrs. Ohio competition, my coach was trying to get a hold of me. She wanted to see how my interview went, and I didn't talk to her until after the competition when I finally found my phone and I had all these missed calls from her. She's like, "Where have you been?" I was like, "I was competing. I couldn't find my phone." And she's like, "I was going crazy."
It's a good memory of your pageant. You lose your
It is.
phone.
It's a funny memory. But she was like, if you do that to me at Mrs. America, she's like, I'm flying out to Vegas and I'm going to kill you. Don't you dare lose your phone at Mrs. America.
Don't forgive your charger because I have a Miss World uh, Miss France in a previous edition of Miss World. I forgotten the charger of the phone in France, and she was in China.
Oh my goodness.
And find a charger for the French phone is impossible. It's maybe impossible in China.
Oh my goodness. That's yeah. Well, yeah, I visited a friend in Paris a couple years ago. It was before COVID, and I didn't even think about bringing an adapter. And thankfully, the hotels there have one, but I'm calling down to, I mean, they were really good about it, but it was a panic moment because I was like, how am I going to charge my phone? How am I going to do anything? Oh, say prayers for me. And I just hope that I do you proud. I mean, that's the biggest thing. I don't think I would ever maybe disappoint anyone, but I definitely want to show up as my best self. And I just really want to be a great representative for the state of Ohio. We're such a friendly, warm state that as long as I go and everyone's like, that Mrs. Ohio is a nice lady, I would be really thrilled.